Good morning. Today we're going to continue with our exponent rules. We covered rules 1 and 2, and today we will cover rules 3 and 4. This video is primarily on rule number 3, the negative exponent rule, but I want to do a quick review of rules 1 and 2 before we get to rule number 3. Now, if you remember from last time, rule number 1, okay, when you multiply like bases, what do we do with the exponents? Okay. When you have like bases, you add the exponents. Keep the like base, and then add the exponents. For instance, we have x to the third times x to the eighth. Okay, what's the base? The base is x. Now, we have 8 x's here and 3 x's there. 8 plus 3 is 11. So we have x to the 11th power. Okay, on the second example, okay, we have coefficients. We have coefficient of 2 here and a coefficient of 5 there. The like base is still x. Okay, so anytime you have coefficients, take care of the coefficients first. Okay, we can multiply 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Now our first rule comes into play. A like base, the like base is x, and we add the exponents. 9 plus 5 is 14. So we have 10x to the 14th. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2. When you raise a power to another power, what do we do with the exponents? We should multiply the exponents. On our first example, we have x to the third power raised to the 6th power. Our rule states we multiply the exponents. So this would be x to the 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, I also wanted to show you an example that had a coefficient. Once again, do the coefficients first. So the first thing we're going to do here, we have 4y to the 5th, z to the 4th, all raised to the 2nd power. So the first thing we want to do is raise 4 to the 2nd power. 4 squared, or 4 times 4, is 16. Now we're raising a power to a power. So we multiply the exponents. Y to the 5th raised to the 2nd power. 2 times 5 is 10. So we have y to the 10th. Now, when we have z to the 4th raised to the 2nd power, multiply the exponents. So we have z, 4 times 2 is 8. So we have 16, y to the 10th, z to the 8th. Now on to rule number 3. The negative exponent rule. Okay, now it reads, and you can follow along with your rule sheet. When you have negative exponents, you must make them positive by changing the form of the base. If it is on top, it goes to the bottom. And if it's on the bottom, it moves to the top. Basically, this says you cannot have a negative exponent. And to make it positive, if it's on top, you make it positive and move it to the bottom. If it's on bottom, you make it positive and move it to the top. A couple examples of that. We have a to the negative 3rd power. Now, this is on top because that's understood over 1. So we're going to make it positive so that a to the 3rd will go to the bottom and the 1 will be on top, so you'd have 1 over a to the third. Here, the negative exponent is on the bottom. We have a to the negative 4th power. So simply, we would make it positive. Since it's on bottom, we'll move it to the top, and we'd have a to the 4th, because 1 times a to the 4th is simply a to the 4th. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with coefficients, just like in the other two rules, let's take care of the coefficients first. Okay. Now, first I want to do is raise 2 to the negative 3 power. I'm just going to go ahead and write it out. We'll move it in a minute. So that's 2 to the negative 3rd power. Here, we take in rule number 2, where we're raising a power to a power. So this would be x to the 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Now, we have negative exponents. We have to make them positive. They're both on top, so they're both going to move to the bottom. Okay, we'll make this positive. 2 to the 3rd power on bottom. 2 cubed, that's 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Okay, now x also moves to the bottom because it's to the negative 12. So we'll make that negative positive and put it on the bottom. So my simplified answer would simply be just 1 over 8x to the 12th. And the last example, we have a over 4 to the negative 3rd power. Okay. So now the only thing we have to do is make this 4 to the negative 3rd positive, and since it's on bottom, we'll move it to the top. Okay. 4 to the 3rd power, 4 times 4 times 4, that would be, if I'm not mistaken, that is 64, moves to the top. And the a, which is a positive, just stays there, so it becomes 64a. Now, what I would like for you to do, as soon as I can find it, is okay, look at this page. Make sure you're on the side that says negative exponents. It says, in capital letters, do not leave negative exponents. Finish the rule. A raised to the negative 5th power. Okay, so now that would be a to the negative 5th. Okay. Since it's on top, we have to move it to the bottom, so this would equal 1 over a to the 5th. Okay. Here, 2, same problem. Oh, that's the negative x. It doesn't change. Okay. 1 over a to the negative x. Okay. Now, this would be 1 over a to the negative x power. Once again, sorry about thinking that x was a 5, but it's no different. Okay. But now, the negative exponent's on bottom, so we're going to move it to the top. So that would be a to the x power over 1, or just simply a to the x power. Okay, 3 and 4. An expression is simplified when it contains only positive exponents. Okay, now on 4 through 20, take the next 10, 15 minutes. Work through this. I do not mind if you work with somebody else. Let's get these finished. Bring them up. Let them check your answers. And then here in about 15, 20 minutes, we'll go on to the next rule.